Welcome back to the Daily Living Jewish Kitzur Shulchan Aruch class. Today we begin a brand new section. We start section 61 of the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, which is a very relevant section, hopefully for all of us, only for good occasions. Let's get at it. So he begins by saying on 4 occasions, a person must thank Hashem for his goodness. And what are the 4 occasions? After crossing the ocean and reaching his destination. So that's number 1, the ocean. The second is after crossing the desert. That's number 2. And any other dangerous road or reaching his destination. Now, included in this rule is also one who was saved from any other peril, as well as when a wall caved in on him, or an axe lunged at him, ready to gore him, or robbers attacked him on the road, or thieves at night, and he was saved from them or from similar perils. So, interestingly, the Sfaradim, they don't do it. They don't bench Gomel for that. The Sfaradim say that it's only the 4 cases that I mentioned in the Gemara: the ocean, if you're literally crossing the deserts or a dangerous route. But Ashkenazim say that included in traveling through the deserts is being involved in any dangerous situation.
Ashkenazim didn't have desert.
No, that's not why. It's different opinions in the Shulchan Aruch. Both authors living in Europe. But just it's worth mentioning that although he says, what's the wording of the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch? Well, he gives a few different scenarios. Robbers attacked him on the road, or thieves at night, or from similar peril. How do you say this word? Perils. Anyhow, it's still worth reiterating that it needs to be a definite danger, not a possible danger. If a person was in definite danger, but was miraculously, or even not miraculously, but in an incredible way, he was saved, then he benches Gomel for something that's not listed as one of these 4. But if, for example, a person was standing next to the street, going for a jog, and a car whizzed past him, and it was, millimeters away from something very dangerous, then you don't bench Gomel for that, because there you weren't in the dangerous situation. Danger was super close, but it wasn't actually on you. So it's when you're actually within a situation where the way it is right now, your life would be a danger, but Hashem helped you. So that's something just worth clarifying. People often get confused about that. Or if a person experienced a robbery, it shouldn't happen to any of us. So then he's already in that situation because the robbers were present and they could have, caused harm, and miraculously they didn't. But if it was that they almost came, another example, I guess, is if a person's driving and he sees kind of that looks like guys are about to hijack him, but he quickly drives away. So if he was almost in the situation, he wouldn't bench Gomel. But if they'd already kind of started cutting him off, and he's kind of managed to escape, so then he already is in the dangerous situation. I guess it's a fine line, but it's worth clarifying. But that's only for Ashkenazim. Sfaradim would not bench Gomel unless they actually traveled through the desert or crossed the ocean. The third example of the Gemara is one who suffered from serious illness or serious injury, or he was confined to bed for at least 3 days due to an illness, and he recovered, and his health was restored. His health needs to be completely restored. So if a person is still recovering, we say wait till you're feeling completely better before you bench Gomel. If it's a scenario where a person needs an additional procedure, but that's a preventative procedure, then he doesn't need to wait for the procedure. But if the procedure is one that will completely remove the sickness, so then he should wait until after the procedure. So if it's preventative, he doesn't need to wait for that extra step. But if it is still part of the actual healing process, then he does need to wait. Okay, he doesn't mention over here because it didn't happen, that company did, but obviously included in this would be any somewhat more serious operation, any dangerous operation. So that would be sick. And category number 4, oh, let's see it over here. Okay, so this is now for what? And category number 4 is one who was in prison, even if he was in prison only because of monetary matters and he was released. Okay, actually, this again is a bit of a blend of Sephardim and Ashkenazim. The Sephardim say that as long as you qualify for one of the 4, being either ocean or deserts or sickness or prison, then you bench Gomel. Again, sea, ocean, desert, sickness, or prison, you bench Gomel regardless. Ashkenazim say there needs to be some level, it needs to be where there is significant danger. So in other halachic works, like in the Shulchan Aruch of the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad Rebbe, he mentions if it was for monetary, either if it was he was in jail for capital crime or serious crime, iskei nefashos, or if he was in jail for monetary matters and was chained. So it seems like it was a point where, again, he was more seriously in danger. And I guess that would, today, it would depend on the nature of, not necessarily any time a person is in jail, do they need a bench Gomel? As far as they would say any time, because they say it's the 4, regardless of the level of danger. Ashkenazim will say that only if there was significant danger involved. If there wasn't significant danger, then when one is released, they would not need to bench Gomel. Now, once we've mentioned the 4, it's worth mentioning that most important is that a person should ask a Rav, not just when he can come to Shul to bench Gomel, but also if he can bench Gomel. Because you got to look at each situation, and you don't want to be mentioning Hashem's name in vain. We'll see soon, there's a separate thing that could be said for somebody who experiences a miracle. We actually learned it in the last section. He gives a little mnemonic over here to help remember. I was trying to remember it, and that's the Hebrew word chayim. Chayim stands for the 4th reasons to bench Gomel. Ches stands for choleh, sick person. Yud stands for yisurim or asirim, which are people in jail. Yam stands for the ocean. And Mem stands for Bamidbar. Midbar is the desert. And what is the bracha that you say? You say, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech ha'olam, ha'gomel l'chayavim tovei shegvalani kol tov, or in some sidurim shegvalani tov. Blessed are you, Hashem, our God, King of the universe, who bestows good things upon the guilty. In other words, I may not have deserved it. I may have been chayav. Ha'gomel l'chayavim. Chayav means liable, but tovot, he was still kind to me, even though I didn't deserve it. Who has bestowed every goodness upon me. Or some say who has bestowed goodness upon me. Everybody who's listening responds, may he who has bestowed goodness upon you continue to bestow every goodness upon you forever. So that is when we bench Gomel. But how do we bench Gomel? Where do we bench Gomel? And when do we bench Gomel? Meaning not for which incident, but when an incident did occur or a person is required, how soon does he need to bench Gomel? Stay tuned, please God, tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow is going to be Shabbos by now. Please God, next week